Hey guys, what's up? It's Zyflin here, and I realized that I actually haven't posted a Mesa build video to my channel. I'm gonna be posting an update video within the coming week in regards to the state of the YouTube channel, because I feel like I've been neglecting it a lot because I've been focusing a lot on Twitch and stuff like that, and I have a lot of thoughts going around in my head in regards to the thoughts about, just basically my YouTube channel in general. But I'm gonna be going through like a bunch of different frames and like making build videos for them, so whenever a person just types in, all right, Mesa build or whatever on YouTube, like I have at least a video ranking for that. So today I'm going to be showing you guys the Mesa build that I like to run. And this is a duration build, which is based around Shatter Shield and Shooting Gallery. And basically what it allows you to do is keep your buffs up while also pulling off a shit ton of damage with your Peacemaker ability, which is basically Mesa's 4, which makes her relatively insanely OP. So let's just take a look at the build and I'll kind of explain everything. So realistically, all we need to sort of spec into is a shit ton of duration and a little bit of power strength, right? So we have our intensify on here, and this is going to take us up to 130% power strength, and that is enough power strength to get us to a 90% damage reduction bonus on our Shatter Shield, because Shatter Shield gives you damage reduction, it reflects damage back at enemies whenever damage is dealt to you, and it's also going to give us a little bit of a buff on Shooting Gallery as well, so there's no downside to having power strength on this build. But we want those buffs to stay up for as long as possible, because we want to kind of make Mesa like a damage dealing tank, if that makes any sense. Like kind of just on like another scale of like a Chroma build, but just like a different type, I guess you could say. So you know how Chroma like can buff himself and by doing self damage, and he gets like a massive damage bonus, and then he's able to just dick on enemies. That's basically what we're doing here. So we have Constitution, Power-Minded, Prime Continuity, all for our power duration. Notice that we don't have Fleeting Expertise on here because we don't want a negative to that, so we just throw on Streamline for our efficiency. One stretch here for the buff that you also get from Shooting Gallery. It's going to disarm enemies, and that is a very important ability whenever it comes to higher level play, because it's going to give you a small window to sort of dish out a lot of damage onto an enemy, and you'll see that there whenever I sort of demonstrate how Mesa works. It basically just buys you some time, right? And then last but not least, we have Prime Flow here for our energy efficiency. Well, not energy efficiency, but basically like just our economy, energy economy. It gives us more energy. And then we also have Cunning Drift on here. Now you can swap this out for Power Drift if you want to get more of a buff from your Shooting Gallery. But Cunning Drift also works because this will increase the range of your Shooting Gallery, meaning it's more like it's better CC basically. And then we have Cruise Projection on here, but you can swap this out for Energy Siphon if you like to keep that energy regen. But personally, running Cruise Projection is basically just going to make it so that you're going to deal more damage overall. Okay, so that's it for the Mesa build. But the next important thing to keep in mind is your pistol build, right? And the reason that your pistol build is important is because Mesa's Peacemaker will actually take from the stats on the mods that you have equipped on your pistol, right? So it doesn't take from the stats of the pistol, it will take the mods that are on your pistol and take the stats from them and then apply it to Peacemaker, right? So you have to think of Peacemaker as its own weapon, and the mods that you have equipped to your secondary weapon are the mods that are going to be equipped to Peacemaker, right? So for this build, we have Hornet Strike, Lethal Torrent, Borrow Diffusion. This is our main damage mods. And we mod it for crit. So we have Prime Pistol Gambit, Prime Target Cracker. So that's our crit chance and crit damage. You can replace this with the normal versions if you don't have them. Convulsion, Pathogen Rounds for our corrosive, and then Prime Heat the Charge on here for our heat damage. Mods such as Hydraulic Crosshairs don't proc because you have to get a headshot and then do the thing with Peacemaker, so it doesn't really work in Peacemaker, so there's no point running it, and you're better off just running this 90% or 165% in our case damage mod to get that flat damage increase and stuff like that. So that is basically the build for your pistol, and we're using the Dual Toxicist right here, and I'm going to be showing you guys a cool trick that you can do with the Dual Toxicist. This is usually a status weapon, so it makes more sense to build these towards status, but there's a thing you can do with the Dual Toxicist where if you get a headshot, it's going to increase the fire rate of your secondary weapon. And in doing so, for some weird reason, it also carries over to Mesa's Peacemaker, right? So it just means that you can dish out even more DPS, okay? So you don't necessarily have to run these. I only really recommend running the Dual Toxicist if you're going very deep into endgame. You're better off just running like any other pistol, which will take, you know, the exact same build. Like, for example, you know, the Pandero, you'll get almost the exact same effects. You just won't get this frenzy buff, which I'm about to show you. Obviously, I have hydraulic crosshairs on here in a different element, but that's because I was doing a different thing. This is just a game where it sort of depends what you're doing will determine what type of build you're running. But let's just go ahead and I'll demonstrate all of Mesa's abilities, okay? So the first ability being her, I would say her weakest ability. So let's just go ahead and spawn in a heavy gunner right here, make him level 150. I'm not going to make myself invincible because I need to demonstrate the other abilities as well. We're going to simulate him, and we're going to be using our Soma. So what happens is you press your 1, and you'll see that you get a little counter in the bottom right-hand corner there. So this is Ballistic Battery, and as you deal damage, you're actually going to store up damage for your Ballistic Battery, right? So you can press 1 again, and now this is your buff active, and your next shot is going to deal increased damage. Now, I don't know if you guys were able to see that right there, but we actually took out a big chunk of his health with just that 1 bullet. So you press 1, store up all the damage, press 1 again, shoot him again, and there you go. It is her weakest ability, and the reason it's her weakest ability is because, I mean, you have to toggle it on and off constantly, and I would like to see that ability get a rework, even though you can get some, like, insane damage numbers from it if you build around it, or if you're using, like, a bow or whatever. Personally, I just think it's an ability that's not really worth using too much, but all of her other abilities kind of make up for it. So, next up, we have Shooting Gallery, and as you've seen, whenever I press Shooting Gallery right there, his gun actually went jammed, so, you know, he wasn't able to attack us. So it's a form of crowd control, and it's also a damage buff, which lasts for a very long time. You can see that the duration we have on it right now, it's at 70 seconds, but if we go into our abilities menu right here, our actual duration is 84.6 seconds, and this is also a buff which is going to be shared between your teammates evenly. So it's going to jump from teammate to teammate, and they're all going to have like a decent amount of time with the buff as well. So let's just go ahead and kill this guy here. Next up, we have our Shatter Shield, and this is what's going to reflect damage back at enemies. This has a duration of 70 seconds, 70.5, and you also have 95% damage reduction, so it's pretty insane. That's almost 100%. So if you combine the crowd control that you get from Shooting Gallery, and then also the damage reduction you get from Shatter Shield, you're basically almost unkillable, and I'll demonstrate that by spawning in about 20 heavy gunners right here. Spawn them all in. Make sure they're level 150. Not going to make myself invincible. Going to simulate these guys. Get our energy. Actually, I'm going to go in here to turn off my abilities. And then we're going to jump in the middle of these guys. We're going to hit 2. And we're going to hit 3. And then we're going to stand beside them. And we're not going to die. Okay? Because either they're going to be reloading their weapon, or they just won't be able to kill us because they deal that little damage. Of course, they're going to deal a decent amount of damage. And of course, we're going to have to go back and get health. But chances are you're going to have like a teammate or something which is going to help you sort of like, you know, keep your health up. Or you're going to have like Carrier Prime with that is it Mediray? Yeah, Mediray, which is going to keep your health up or something, or regen your health. So, you know, it's just a nice thing to have. It's a lot of CC, and it's a really fun ability to just kind of like dick around with level 150 heavy gunners and, you know, just make it so that they can't shoot you and they basically can't kill you, right? So you can just run around here like an absolute madman and not be affected at all. So let's just go ahead and get all of our health back. Go ahead and kill all these enemies. And this is where we move on to the fun stuff. So I'm going to show you Peacemaker without the buff. And then I'm going to show you guys Peacemaker with the buff. And you guys can compare how insane it is. So Peacemaker, in my opinion, is by far Mesa's strongest abilities. But you don't actually have to mod around it, right? So let's just go ahead and spawn these level 150 heavy gunners in. We're going to also make sure that we have our abilities active as well, because you have to make sure that your Shooting Gallery and your Ballistic Battery are constantly up. And then you're going to jump into the middle of these guys and then just do this, okay? So the longer you hold this down, the more damage you're going to deal, and you're going to just completely dick on any enemy that you're aiming at because of the amount that you're critting, the amount that you're shooting at them, and they're not going to be able to retaliate at all. And if they do tend to, or even attempt to retaliate, well, then they're just going to get killed by the damage that they're dealing to you because they're reflecting it back at themselves, right? So, you know, it's a pretty insane ability. And, yeah, just look at the damage we're dishing out to these level 150s. Just listen to the sound of Mesa just shredding these guys. So, keep in mind, that's level 150 enemies. Those are, it's not it's not like those guys are easy to kill. They have a lot of armor, you know? So, they're pretty deadly. Pretty deadly. So, that was it without the buff that we get from the dual toxicist. Once you include the buff that you get from the dual toxicist, you actually get a fire rate buff, right? So, the buff from the dual toxicist, we go ahead and stimulate these guys. Keep our abilities up again. I need to get more energy. Let's see. Here we go. Jump in the middle of these guys. So, this is the normal fire rate of the dual toxicist. Very poopy, very trash. Let's just go ahead and reload. Shit this one guy in the head right here. You can see that our fire rate goes way, way up, okay? So, what happens is, for some weird reason, we don't know if it's a bug or whatever, that buff also carries over to your Peacemaker. So, we go ahead and simulate these guys, get our stuff up, okay? Shit this guy in the head. Pop our 4 with our frenzy buff. You see we have increased fire rate as well, and because we have that increased fire rate, we have increased DPS, and those guys die a lot faster. But then, of course, because the buff only lasts for about 6 seconds, you have to go out of Peacemaker and sort of get the headshot again, the re-proc it, and you're able to see that in the top right-hand corner, just beside my health and shields right there. So, you see we have to re-proc it every time, and it only lasts 6 seconds. So that's the downside to it, but, I mean, you look at this DPS, man, it's pretty insane, you know? Now we're back to normal DPS. Still pretty good. So, you know, it just all depends what type of content you're doing with Mesa, which will determine whether or not, you know, you want to be using the dual toxicist. Usually, if you're just going through, like, regular content in the game, you can just survive with a Pandero, or whatever your favorite, you know, crit secondary weapon is and kind of just get through it. But, you know, Mesa is a crazy frame, and I definitely recommend picking her up. You know, there's no reason not to, so just pick her up. And the passive for her is shoot dual-wielded sidearms faster and reload single-handed sidearms more rapidly. You also gain bonus health when not using a melee weapon. So if you want a little bit more health, so you can be a little bit more tanky, just go ahead and unequip your melee weapon, and it, you know, it goes up. So that's a thing. For some reason, it doesn't actually go up. Let me see. Okay, it does go up. It goes up to 975 from 925. So it's 50 health, take it or leave it. Personally, I don't really care that much about 50 health, but it could be the difference between life or death, so it's totally up to you. But yeah, Mesa's an insane frame. I recommend picking her up. Hopefully I demonstrated what she can be used for, you know, basically anything. All you have to do is press 4, look around yourself while you're holding down your left click or your R2 button or whatever it is on whatever platform, and everything basically dies. So, crit builds. Don't mod for status, go for crit. Crit builds are good, especially with Peacemaker. So this is the build you want to run, and that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.